a huge thing of what you're offering when you're working with someone is you're also offering access to your network. So it is super important to be constantly networking in whatever ways work for you, whether it's through a traditional business model like BNI, or whether it's through throwing big town-wide block parties where you're literally meeting everyone you can. But it's important to know people to refer, because that's what your clients need. They really need that from you.
So welcome to a series of unfortunate real estate events where we talk about what really happens between contract and close, the surprises, the complications, and the lessons that come out of them. Today, I'm joined with Noah Gates from the Move with Gates team. Did I get that right?
Close.
Move with Noah team. Close enough. And we're going to talk about a deal that took an unexpected turn, or a couple of deals that took an unexpected turn, and what new agents or even more experienced agents can learn from them. So we're going to start with, Noah, let's get to know you a little bit better. So you run the Move with Noah team.
I do.
I'm going to start by asking, how long have you been in real estate?
So I started getting licensed at the end of 2020 and was on the ground in 2021, fully licensed under mostly Middlesex County, but I am under the umbrella of Real Brokerage. They are my broker, and I run my team out of Durham.
Perfect. Tell me a little bit about yourself now. Right, we got your business. We got you run a team out of you run a team out of Durham.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about you, who you are, a little bit about your family, and a little bit about you.
Sure. So I am family-oriented realtor. I try not to take myself although I take my business very seriously, I try not to take myself too seriously. And I try to, I think I do a pretty good job of introducing some levity to the business of real estate, which can get really serious, really fast, really upsetting. It can also be really wonderful and go in that direction really quickly too, but I want to be prepared for when things tend to fall apart at times. And I think being somewhat gregarious and funny guy, I try to incorporate as much of my personality into my business as possible, and that's how I've built my team. I have 3 wonderful agents who work with me. Opened up my own brick and mortar here in Durham under Real's umbrella a couple of years ago. So I am a father of 2. My wife, her name is Jess. My son, Declan. My daughter, Penelope. They are 4 and 2, respectively. So as if we don't have enough going on at the house, we also have 2 rescue pit bulls who are insane. But thankfully, my wife is good at being a stay-at-home mom, and that's actually something she loves to do, which puts me in a great spot to run my business and come home to a house that is just full of energy and excitement, and there's a lot going on there. So spare time, I'm a huge nerd. I love to garden and love to do woodworking, and play Magic the Gathering, the world's foremost premier collectible card game. It's really great. And but anyway, that's about me. Yeah.
I've known you for a while. I did not know about the gardening.
Yeah.
It's how big of a garden, and what do you like to grow?
It's getting bigger. I really like to grow different kinds of tomatoes. Those really funky heirloom tomatoes that are like the size of your head, and they look like green pumpkins that turn all different colors. And this year we're expanding the garden. I just built a huge shed where I'm going to be harvesting sap from the 20 to 25 maple trees in my yard, and gardening sap and trying to make maple syrup. I hope it's enjoyable. We'll find out in a couple weeks.
When you create a bottle, maple syrup is one of my favorite things in the world. So you'll have to share a bottle with me.
Yeah, we'll see. I can probably give you like a 1 ounce amount. I'm learning that it takes about 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. So the ratio we'll see how it goes. I'll let you know.
Yeah, it'll be lots of fun,
Right.
and there's also lots of different grades of maple syrup.
I'm going to start right at the bottom.
Yep. The other thing I want you to talk about is you do a lot with the town of in Durham for a way to give back. Right. I think that's a little bit different. I work with a lot of realtors. I don't know that I know anyone that does as much as you do to give back in the community. So tell me a little bit about some of the events you've done and run and kind of what got you started. Because I know most of those events, you also have a charity component. So what got you kind of involved with that?
So all of my events have a charity component. And that's really the primary component to get people in the door. So I've had 4 community-based, community-run events out of my office over the last year and a half. The next one is going to be this summer, but aside from like a Christmas party, well, we had a Christmas party, a holiday party, a grand opening party. We did a trunk or treat for Halloween and at my office, and we also did a huge animal adoption event, which had about 400 people. And so what I do is I organize a really big raffle, and I hook up with a few local charities. There's the Women and Family Life Center in Guilford, and there's a few animal rescues that I work with, and primarily Army's Legacy out in Westbrook. And what I will do is each event will have a huge raffle, and 100% of the proceeds from the event will go to that charity. And so how I've been running those events, running those raffles, they usually have about 20 prize baskets, and I reach out entirely to other local businesses and I say, hey, here's a chance to promote yourself. I'm going to send out 5,000 mailers. We're going to advertise on 20 plus thousand people's social media accounts, and which are all through the charities, which they're open to letting us share our content through, which is great. So they promote us as we promote them. And so I reach out to local businesses. I've reached out to Kishore's office for every event I've had. He's gladly been a sponsor, but we'll do gift baskets. And it gives people a chance to give back, which is phenomenal. And it gives people a chance to network in a way that is not really traditional. There's plenty of events and gatherings all over the state that happen all year through the different boards and the different offices for state real estate. And while I like those events and I go to those events, I attend them and I'm happy to network there, I think that this is a nice, like a welcome change of pace where a lot of different businesses get to come together to support one another, grow their brands, but also give all of the proceeds to the charities. And then the last year and a half or so, we've raised just shy of probably about $10,000, just shy of $10,000 to give back to these. And it's a good time, it's catered. And next party is going to be in the early summer. But it's nice to promote other businesses, be promoted by those same local businesses. And it's a great way to develop your brand within a community. And being in a small town like Durham, it's really easy to go knock on every small business owner's door. There's 20 of us, maybe 30. You say, hey, I'm doing this event, promote yourself. And a lot of the people who donate prizes to the raffle that I put together have gotten a ton of referral business from the raffle. It's just been a great way to connect while also doing our part to give back, which is
and what I like you've done is it's not just business owners, it's business owners and their family, right? Yeah. Which is a little bit different than going to a traditional networking event where we've got to leave our families home and take time away from them. This kind of combines the best of both worlds, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. The last event we did was the trunk or treat. And my kids and my wife and my nephews and my nieces are at every event, just raiding the fridge, eating all the catered food, and it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. The office, it just like comes to life. And when we did the trunk or treat, which you were there for, and Kishore did a trunk too, it was awesome because we had 7 or 8 trunks. And I send out all these mailers saying, come down, get some candy, get some food, get some drinks, and participate in this raffle. And people will come to the office And what I think is, it's like I really like it when someone will come up to me and they'll introduce themselves and they say, "So what do you do here?" I go, "Oh, I'm a realtor." I say, "Oh, I had no idea. We just got this cool letter in the mail. We came down for a good cause." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing here. I just, my door is open and I want to get as many people that are local in the office, introduce myself." And yeah, the last one I think was probably the most family oriented we did. And there were over 100 kids came through. We went through a lot of candy. And again, a lot of people are generating business from this while promoting, a great cause with a nonprofit attached to it. It's nice.
Yeah, you did a great job of loading my kids up with sugar and sending them home with me. So thanks for that.
You should have seen mine, man.
So it's great getting to know you. I've known you, but I want my viewers to be able to get to know you as well. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk about some of our more challenging closings that we've worked on, or that you've worked on. So we had talked earlier. You were talking about your first transaction representing a seller, and there was some challenges that came along with that. So I'm going to start by asking, how did it start out? Was it an easy transaction from the very beginning, or was there problems from the get-go?
It was very easy from the beginning, very promising. It was the kind of transaction that every realtor wants when they get their license, where a close family friend comes to you and they say, "Hey, good news. I can't believe you just got your license. I want to move. I want to sell my house, and I'm not interviewing other agents. I don't care about your background or your credentials. I love you. You love me. Let's go." And this couldn't be easier. This is wonderful.
So it's one of those deals that you should have known from the beginning were going to be a disaster, because anytime you work with friends and family, something always goes awry.
Absolutely.
So when did you start to realize something was going wrong?
There were some hiccups throughout the initial listing stages before we were marketing on the MLS, where I was learning a lot as I was going, and realizing that I didn't have as full of a Rolodex or a repertoire as I thought I did, where she said, "Okay, so what do we do for photos now?" And I said, "Oh, I have no idea." I said, "Let me call my wedding photographer, I guess." Just stuff you didn't plan for, you didn't think of. And one of the best benefits of working with, it could also probably be the worst part of working with friends and family, is some of them are very forgiving. And she was, in particular, she was very patient with me. And it went, so again, some funny little blips like that, but overall, we had a bunch of showings and got some offers right off the rip, which was good.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. So where did it go? What was it actually that went wrong, right?
Yeah.
Everybody loves a good train wreck. So where did the train wreck occur?
At like the worst possible phase of the transaction for a train wreck, which is the final walkthrough, because everyone's jazzed up and ready to go. So I was there facilitating. It's, of course, as it always is, it's pouring rain. It's like hot and sticky outside. And I'm just getting drenched, no umbrella, because why would I have one of those? And walking through with the people buying the property, and they noticed that some of the water coming out of the faucets had kind of a low pressure. And so they threw up their arms and they said, this is not what we're expecting. We need to get our well guy out here right away. And then I said, all right, well, we can do that. It does seem like the pressure's off. I said, who's your well guy? They said, we don't have a well guy. And I happened to, I was like, me neither. So I found a guy to come out to the property who was a referral from a friend at the time, and who I actually work with all the time now.
And he wasn't at your wedding like the photographer, right?
He was not at my wedding like the photographer. No, but he came out to meet us in the pouring rain, like last minute. He was local, and sure enough, yeah, he popped open the well cover. And at the time, I knew next to nothing about wells, which is funny because I live on well water, and that's just how little you think about some of these things. He popped the top off.
I mean, why would you? You turn on the faucet, water comes out. You don't think too much. You don't think more than that.
Oh, and you turn on the light and the light goes on, and you flush the toilet and the
Exactly.
water goes away. It's wonderful. I
Yeah.
mean, houses are magical that way. And so anyway, this guy, he comes out and he didn't, before he even opened the well cover, he goes, "Oh yeah, you're screwed, man." I was like, "What are you talking about? How can you even tell?" He goes, "Well, the wellhead is buried in the base of a tree." I said, "So what? That's that. Think it looks kind of cool. Like, what do I know about it? I mean, but yeah, sorry, show me." And so I'm walking with him, and so he pops the top off, and you can just look right down the shaft of the well, and sure enough, the walls of the well itself are crumbling, and there's some roots growing in, and not the end of the world there, not great. And so the buyers said, we've got a family, we've got children, we're not going to move into a house with a well that's falling apart. And so that's where it started to go bad, and then continued to snowball. So with the well, they said, we can clear the debris, we can clean up the roots, we can help it from crumbling, and put a new insert down there that's going to help us out. It'll cost you a couple $1,000, not the end of the world. And then the buyers were really nervous about this, and they said, "Well, we want to make sure the water's potable too, because it's if we're going to redo all this stuff with the well, we should get another well sample." And so they did another well sample for the water, and it came back, and the value for the sodium was like off the chart. And it turns out that the well would have needed a reverse osmosis system for the house to generate the yield that it needed, and to get potable water to every faucet and to the showers and everything. And so we said, "Sure, we'll put one of those systems in." And then they said, "Well, no pun intended, the worst news is this well is not strong enough to support a reverse osmosis system." So I said, "Oh, so what is that?" I don't know what that means. He said, "Well, we need to drill a whole new well on the property." I said, "Oh, that sounds awful." And so
I love your response. That sounds awful. Yeah.
I was like, that's terrible news. And so I remember, actually, I was on the phone with Kishore, which he might not remember this, but I do. And it was an interesting moment for me. I was in my car, soaking wet, just freaking out, and I'm on the phone, and I'm like, this is happening. The well, like everything it's falling apart. And Kishore very calmly said, he was very supportive when I was starting my business. He said, "Well, the deal is going to fall apart, and everyone is going to blame you. But it's not your fault." He was just preparing me, and I'll never forget that. I was in
Sounds like something I would say.
well, it was pretty accurate. And I was sitting in my car in a parking lot at an ice cream store in Higginham, because that's like, I just needed to drive away from the property to freak out for a minute. And so, of course, I relay this to my client, and she's like mortified. And at the same time, she needed to sell her house to buy the next house she was moving into. And it's the kind of thing where if you're not experienced in this, it's something where you need the proceeds of the sale of your home to essentially close on the same day to hit your bank account so you can then purchase the house. So you're kind of moving from one house to the other, and you need it so nothing goes wrong, so you're not stuck in this limbo where you have now no house. And so now I'm like up to my eyeballs in problems, with little to no experience, and luckily people that were patient with me. So, I mean, we got everything to work, but what was really important is, so Kishore actually walked me through this process of escrowing funds from the sale of the house, so my client could sell to get into the new place, putting a lot of money in escrow. Because the other issue, as if there weren't enough with this, to put a new well on the property, the wait for that, because it was peak COVID, and no one could get anything done for construction, and everyone's lead time was wild. They were like, "Yeah, we can get a new well on the property. That's a 1-day job, but we're booking out about 4 months." Yeah. And I was like, "This is nuts." So anyway, we made it work. We got all sides of the deal closed. Some people were very, very happy with how everything turned out. Some people were very upset. But it was over in the moment, and probably for a good 6 to 8 months after the closing, it was a very negative experience in my world. But I was able to, after some time, really turn it into situation where I was able to make lemonade out of lemons. And I was like, this is so crummy. But I realized looking back how much I had learned in that one transaction, because everything that could go wrong at the day of the closing went wrong. And we pulled it together. So definitely a learning experience, but definitely miserable. And if I were to give any advice to someone going through the same thing, it's, especially when you're getting started, you need to do a lot more homework than I did when I was getting started. And if you have a house that's on well or on septic or has any kind of mitigation treatment in the house, you need to learn everything about that, that you can before you are representing it in the sale.
Sounds like you're saying you kind of need to be a jack of all trades and master of none to be in real estate.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or better yet, you need to know a little bit enough to be dangerous, but you also need to know who to call, right? That's the theme I seem to be getting from you, is that it's not just, hey, we've got these issues and I know how to deal with them. It's also, who do I call?
Yeah.
Right. And hopefully they're most of the people that showed up at your wedding, because that photographer taking pictures of houses now. But
he's a good photographer. Yeah. And that's something that I remind people of. And, when I'm training people or just talking to other agents, is a huge thing of what you're offering when you're working with someone is you're also offering access to your network. So it is super important to be constantly networking in whatever ways work for you, whether it's through a traditional business model like BNI, or whether it's through throwing big town-wide block parties where you're literally meeting everyone you can. But it's important to know people to refer, because that's what your clients need. They really need that from you.
Yeah, I think the best thing for you is you need to be a master connector, right? You need to be having a large network, and you need to connect people. And I think there's a lot of people that don't realize that's really what a real estate agent's going to be doing. It's the relationship, right? Because I don't know I know you didn't know a well guy, right? But you do now, because you took the time to network with one and learn and meet. You did, when you started, you didn't know an attorney, but you somehow got my name, and your mentor was nice enough to give that to you, and we calmed you down through a situation. But it's really having the right people on your team is key. So from my point of view, that would be the advice I'd give a young agent, is build your network. It's probably more valuable than the money you're generating from clients.
Absolutely. And when someone calls you and they have a question you can't answer, being able to pass along that question to someone who can't answer it without hesitating is worth its weight in gold. I mean, it's really helps with growing the business.
I think that's a great leeway into your other disaster of a closing that happened relatively recently.
Yeah.
So, this one is a flip side. I know a little bit about it. So it's you had a buyer with a unique situation. So let's talk about that one, right?
Yep.
You and this buyer go out. They find their dream house. Was it in the same town?
It was in the same town, and that was. It's. I don't know if it's more of a Connecticut thing or a New England thing, because the towns are small and the districts are small, but they needed to move from one town to a home in the same town to remain in a certain district for school.
Yeah, they didn't want to mess with their kid's school, so they wanted to stay in town. So now Noah takes them out, shows them a bunch of houses. They fall in love with this house, and I'm going to let you take it from here so I don't steal the whole story from you.
Sure. And so it also happens to be one of the towns that has particularly low inventory, with very high demand to be a part of the town for a number of reasons, including the school system. So every house we were seeing, we were going into with a ton of competition before we even got to the house to see if we liked it or not. And so sure enough, we find a house after months of looking that they loved, and it was worth it. And they said, we can make this work for a number of reasons, but we really love the house. And so this was another one that the falling apart of the deal came out of nowhere. This was, some deals, they start to fall apart gradually, and you realize that, something's just not right from the beginning, and everyone kind of walks away. But this was something where we went under contract. So they got their offer on the house accepted. We went through all the the initial procedures, and we scheduled and performed a home inspection, which went very well. So everyone was very excited about that. That was a huge relief. And then we went to the next step, which is pretty standard in residential real estate transaction, of ordering the appraisal, finding out how much the house is truly worth from this neutral third party. We nailed it. It's worth the right amount. Everyone's happy. And then we get to one of the last steps, which is totally out of the realtor's hands, which is the title search. So, Kishore, can you give me I don't know if you want to give like a crash course on a title search or.
So it's a great way to put this. Title search is very basic. It's looking at the history of the property, making sure every owner of the property sells it, all their interest to the next buyer, right? A little bit more complicated than that, but I'm kind of giving you the high level of that.
Yeah.
But it basically identifies who the current owner of the property is, and you can trace it back for the history of the property.
Mm. So this property in particular was in a very specific type of a trust, which is a whole nother can of worms, but not unheard of and not something we haven't done before. But so I get a call from Kishore's office. It's actually just Kishore's cell. This is more of an urgent call. It's, hey, bad news. The people who own this property don't own this property, and they can't sell it to you. Essentially, the people who own this can't sell it. They are not allowed to. And that was the first for me. So we tried a bunch of different things to say, well, what if we did it this way? And what if we appeal to, I don't know if it was, I think it was the executor we were trying to talk to and say, well, what if was it the executor? It was whoever it was. Probate.
So we had to get permission from the probate court because there was no trustee. Right? We had a trust without a trustee, which raises a whole bunch of issues. And then the family on the sell side couldn't agree the sky was blue.
Yep.
So it was a fun challenge. But we had proposed a number of alternatives, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things I like with Noah, we're not, yes, it can be done. No, it can't be done. It's how do we get it done? Right. And I think on this one, you and I both try to get creative and we'll figure out how to make this work.
Yep.
And so did it work out?
It did not. So like you said, the family couldn't agree that the sky was blue. I mean, there were all these different ins and outs. Well, what if we do it this way? And what if we can close on the property? Or what if we can wait for 6 months? What if we wait for a year? I mean, we were willing to put out so many different ideas saying we can be as flexible as humanly possible and then some. And the sellers, it was just a brick wall. And it happens. We like to think that everything's negotiable, everything's for sale. But, from time to time, especially when something is wrapped up in a court system, you can hit a brick wall. And the phone call to your clients after that is just the hardest, but also the strangest. It was like heartbreaking to explain to them, hey, not only are we supposed to close next week or in 2 weeks, but this whole thing is done and there's nothing you can do about it.
And the worst part, you may not have gotten this, but it was, they'd ask a question and the answer was, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, because it was something that wasn't in our control and it relied on multiple people. And even though the person who took responsibility for the trust and signed the contract was ready to sell it,
yeah,
the family wasn't. They didn't have any authority to do anything. The hard part there was nobody realized it until we started looking at title, which is unfortunately far enough in the process that our very sweet and kind clients got the short end of the stick.
They did. Yep. And luckily they are, like you said, they're very sweet people, but we're also, pragmatic, and we were able to break it down and say, look, this is devastating. There was no sugarcoating on my end or Kishore's end of like, well, the bright side is there was no bright side. It was, we are hitting a wall. and the answer is no, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's like, getting sent to the principal's office in fourth grade or something. You're done. You have no rebuttal here at all.
And on my end, I don't know if I told you this because I don't know if our clients told you this, but we were trying to just say, okay, fine, we'll wait. We're not canceling the contract. We'll wait. But we were looking for other things. So luckily for our clients, they eventually came around and found something that they really liked.
Yeah, and I think that's, if I recall, that's kind of what you had rearranged the contract to say, is that we will stay in this for as long as it needs to be, but we also have the first right to leave should we find another property. Right. And, we're not going to keep our deposit tied up or anything like that. So,
and that was because the other attorney was like, you're not going to get anywhere. But if you want to wait, right?
Yeah.
Because it didn't hurt anybody to sit there and wait.
Yeah.
Right. It gave your clients a backup to something. It gave the sellers an option for something when they may not have had anything. So it worked out, right? And I think that's, Noah, where you and I shine as a team and as individuals, like, right? Because I know you work with other attorneys. Mm-hmm. Clients come with their own other attorneys. I work with other real estate agents. You and I really work well in the sense of, it's how do we get this done? How do we watch out best for our clients? And sometimes the honest answer is, hey, you got to walk away. It's the best decision.
Yeah.
It's not always the decision they want to hear, but sometimes it's the decision they need to make.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that. It's something I wish I had really embraced much earlier on in my career, because there are times where everyone knows that a deal is done, like it's going to fall apart, and everyone knows we need to walk away. But you just do everything in your power, and you overextend, and you exhaust yourself trying to keep it together because you're just thinking, I don't know what else to do. I need to put food on the table. Like, we have to get this done. But to be able to put a spin on it and say, look, the best thing in this case is to walk away. Absolutely. That's my advice. Yeah. It lends a certain credibility that there's no other way, I think, to gain with a client when they can look at you and say, well, really? Don't you want this to close? Don't you need to get paid and all this? It's not about that. This is not going to work. Or if it does work, it could really put you in a bad spot. And I don't think there is any other way to gain that kind of credibility with a client than to just be, it sounds so simple, but it's just being honest, like painfully honest. And when it's time to walk away, you walk, you pull the plug, and everyone recovers much, much better than you would think, or at least that you can sort of work up in your head that everyone's going to be mad at me. Everyone's going to hate me. This whole deal is going to fall apart. I'm never going to close a deal ever again. We're all in trouble. But being that candid with someone, if you're coming from a place of knowledge and understanding, I think makes all the difference for sure. And sure enough, like I said, there was a happy ending. We got to another house that they loved. We got through the inspection, and we were able to joke about it and say, hey, hopefully when we get to the closing table, the seller actually owns the house and they can sell it to us. That'd be really wonderful. What a treat. And they did. Yeah, sure enough.
We got to caveat it. This one, you did call me before to double check it before we did anything else, right? We checked it early on.
Something you never thought you'd have to check on every house you say. Does the person selling this have the right to sell it? That's an important question to ask. Yeah,
it's an extremely important question, and in that situation, the sad reality is the person thought he did have authority to sell it, so it may not have changed anything at the end of the day, right? A lot of times, people think it's they have the right to do things that they don't really know they didn't have the right. And this one was one of those situations where we didn't have the right to do what we thought we could. But it worked out for our clients in the end, which was the most important part, right? They were happy. I'm going to ask, because the first one was your friends. Were these your friends too?
Yes. Yep.
Right. It seems like the common theme is when working with friends and family, it's a shit show.
Yeah. Yes.
So I think it makes perfect sense, right? We got to when we're working with friends and family, we need to take that extra step of precautions, I guess, is the way to say it.
Yeah. And I think another lesson for me is that, both of those transactions When things went wrong, it was totally, I was just blindsided. It was just, you get this phone call or you get to this walkthrough. It's just the last minute. Oh, hey, by the way, everything is turned upside down on its head.
Yeah.
And being able to keep your cool in a situation like that is just invaluable. Even if you don't know the answer, you don't know what to do, you have no idea what's going on. It's just reassuring the people around you and yourself that we can all sleep on this. We can all walk away for a minute and take a breath, and we can all recoup and circle the wagons and make this work most of the time. But you can always keep it.
Right. And I think the other thing I like working with you is, and you are very confident in yourself that you could say, I don't know, but let me make a phone call.
Thank
right.
you.
Rather than somebody that's just going to say, hey, the answer is X.
Yeah, do it. Sure.
Do it. But X doesn't make sense because it's 1 + 1. Why is it X? Right. Like, it's one of those things, like, it could be completely left field, and people make things up, and it ends up most times coming back to bite you. So I do really appreciate that. We talk on a regular basis on most of our files, right? Yeah. Reaching out, saying, hey, I need help with this, or I need help with that. Mm-hmm. You've learned a lot in these few years. So you're I'm going to unofficially coin you Mr. Durham. I don't know if you've gotten that title yet or not.
Something like that.
One day. But you've built a good reputation for yourself. So if anyone is looking to engage your services, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
It's weird to me to think that I'm an old-fashioned person because of this, but a call or a text. Okay. I like to sit down and have a conversation. And my favorite part about, the real reason I opened my own office is so I have a place to really sit down face to face and go over what my clients' needs are in a relaxed environment. So yeah, I'm a phone call or a text or a face to face kind of guy.
And your info will be all listed below. So if anyone's interested in hiring Noah to buy, sell, or invest in their next piece of real estate, feel free to reach out to him.
And I'm going to do a shameless plug then, because speaking of keeping your network big, is I used to just really shy away from networking with other realtors, and the brokerage I'm a part of, it really promotes collaboration with other people. And so I've started a daily call that is sort of, it's open to anyone in the real estate profession, whether you're an agent, whether you're a broker, whether you're an inspector, whether you're a lender, an attorney, whatever. And it's been growing, and it's been a great way to just be open and kind of like let our guard down around people that it's worth letting our guard down around. So yeah, if you want to hire me, that's great. I would love to sell you a house. That's wonderful. But even if you want to just collaborate on the back end of things, it's been eye-opening for me to be doing a daily call. I really enjoy it.
Well, what I'll do is also include the link to the daily call. So any of the realtors that are watching this, they can join it as well.
Cool. Thanks. I appreciate that.
No problem. Have a great day, Noah. It was a pleasure chatting with you today.
You too. Thanks, Kishore.